everyone, in this tutorial, I'll show you how to create a full canvas reusable mockup for your surface pattern designs. This is the first in a series of tutorials on how to create mockups in Affinity. In this one, we'll look at how to create and save a displacement map from the background image, so your designs look more realistic when they're placed. We'll use a mix of blend modes and blend options to bring out shadows and highlights, giving the final image a more realistic feel. We'll also look at how to add subtle fabric texture to your designs using free textures with commercial rights. And finally, I'll show you how to save your mockup as a reusable Affinity template so you can get a clean copy anytime you need it. Are you ready? Let's get started. I'm using this image from Pixabay, which is a bunched silk fabric, but I'm going to give it a more textural feel by adding some cotton texture after I create the mockup itself. If you'd like to use the same image, you can find a link to it below. The first thing that I want to do is create a displacement map using the original image. Now, a displacement map is going to take the lightness values of the map that we create and distort our pattern image so it follows the folds in the fabric. This is especially helpful when you're working with a vector design, which can use a little bit of help looking less flat. I'm going to copy the background layer by selecting it and dragging it out to the pasteboard. You can also use the keyboard shortcut Command or Control J. Now, the goal here is to provide a good contrast between light and dark values to help push the designs into the folds of the fabric. The first thing I'm going to do is take this duplicate and I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply, which is a darken option. Now, this is a good start. You can see that I've got some shadows and highlights here, but I want to add a non-destructive curves adjustment. I'll go down to the bottom and I'm going to choose curves from my adjustments, and I'm just going to create a basic S-curve by pulling this side up and the bottom down. Next, I want to add a levels adjustment. So I'm going to go back to my adjustments, choose levels, and I want to pull the white values down a bit, and I'm going to pull the gamma slider up. One final step is that I want to add a slight blur to the displacement map. This is going to prevent it from creating a choppy effect on the pattern layer once the map is added. It also gives more range when applying the effect. I'm going to use the Gaussian blur under the live filters. So I'll go to my live filters in my layers panel, go up to Gaussian blur, and I find that between 5 and 10 pixels works. I think I'm going to use 7. Now, one final thing I want to do is, because the blur is going to the very edge, you can see that it's pulling the image from the sides and I'm getting transparency there. So I'm going to turn on preserve alpha to correct that. Now, this is pretty ugly, but the map's never actually going to be visible. It's going to be working behind the scenes. So I'm going to go ahead and export it. I can either go up to File and down to Export at the top, or I can go over to my quick export options here. And I know that I already have this set up as whole document and I want to export it as a JPEG. So I'll go ahead and do that. And I'll just name this Displacement Map. With the displacement map done, I want to create the pattern layers, which include a drop zone where I can use the fill tool to pull in different designs either from my assets or externally as much as I need to. I'm going to start out by removing these adjustments because I no longer need them. I am going to keep this duplicate layer and I'm going to keep it set to multiply. And I'm going to change the name of it to pattern layers. To create the drop zone for my design, I want to add either a rectangle or a picture frame over the entire canvas. Either would be fine. I'm going to go ahead and use a rectangle. So I have that selected. Now, because I'm going to be adding a displacement map that's going to pull from the edges of the canvas, I'm going to make the rectangle slightly larger than the canvas itself. I'm going to start outside the canvas and just drag down. Otherwise, I'm going to be limited to the displacement settings because higher numbers are going to pull the edges and it's going to look like there's tears at the edges of the mockup, even if I tell it to preserve alpha like I did with the blur. Now, you only need to do this if you're adding a displacement map that goes to the edge of the canvas. I'm going to take that rectangle and I'm going to drag it down and clip it inside that pattern layers. And because it's set to multiply, you can see everything through it. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to change this to add design here. That way, if I share this, we'll know where to add it. I'll grab my fill tool, and if I go to my assets, I have a subcategory that I've created called Pattern Hub, and this is where I keep all of my vector creations so that I have them for mockups. I have them just to test patterns. I'm going to go ahead and pull one in here. I think I'll pull this hexagon pattern in. So I'll just click on the asset. and it adds it to that rectangle. So this add design here. Now I can scale this up with the handles. So I think I'm going to bring it up kind of high. I can also move it around. So if I want more of those brown ones in there, I can do that. Now, because that pattern layer, that top parent layer was set to multiply, you can see the design of the background come through. So the shadows and highlights, but it's not quite there. It's still very much reading like it's sitting on top. And that's where the displacement map is going to come in. I'm going to add the displacement map directly to the pattern rectangle so that any design I have it filled with is going to read the shadows in the map and follow the folds in the image. So with that layer selected, I'm going to go down to my live filter options and choose displace. Now there are a couple of options that come with this. We'll get back to strength in a moment. There's a couple of load methods. I always stick with red, green, offset. That's actually the one that's most closely aligned with Photoshop if you're coming from a Photoshop environment. There's also Sobel offset. I don't tend to use it. So I'm just going to keep that set. Now you can either load a map from beneath this layer, or you can load a map from a file, which is what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and find that displacement map that I saved. And you can see as soon as I pull that in, it shifts. So if I hit the eye here on the displacement map, you can see there's where it was at and there's where it goes. And if we zoom in, what's happening here is wherever there's light, it's pushing the design up, and wherever there's dark, it's pushing it down. So it's making it follow those folds. Now 10 pixels is a bit much. I actually think it makes it look too warped and you can't really tell what the design looks like. So I'm going to bring that down to, let's see what 5 looks like. I think that might be better, but let's see, 6 or 7. I think I'll go with 6 pixels. Now this is non-destructive, so I can always change it depending on the design I have in place. So the displacement map is in place and my design is reading the folds, but I still feel like this is really flat and almost looks like it was created by AI, especially since I'm using an image that was smooth silk. And the design itself that I added is flat vector image. So I want to add some texture to this next. To add my texture, I'm going to add a rectangle. Now I don't need to pull this outside of my canvas because I'm not planning on adding a displacement map to this. Now it loaded the last fill that I used. I'm going to clip this down inside of my pattern layers here, and I'll use the place tool. Actually, I'll use the fill tool to use the bitmap function and grab the texture that I want to use. So that's here in my files. I'm going to use a fabric texture from texturelabs.org. I'm going to go ahead and just drag this up a little bit. The reason I like this particular one is it has all these little nubby things and it really reads well as a fabric texture. So I want to change the blend mode of this though, so we can see this design through, and I'm going to use overlay. So I'll go up to the top here and choose overlay. Now, overlay is a contrast blend mode that darkens the darker pixels and lightens the lighter ones, and that kind of results in a boost to contrast and saturation. In this case, it's actually lightening up my original design a little too much, so I want to darken it a bit without losing that fabric texture. To correct for that shift, I'm going to add a curves layer to my design rectangle. So I'll go ahead and go to my adjustments and add curves. I'll just drag this down inside here. It's going to drop below the displacement map, which is fine. And I'm just going to darken this up a little bit. I don't want to go too far, just enough that I'm kind of correcting, especially in this darker hexagon here for that color shift. So there is off and on. It's very subtle. But again, this is non-destructive. So I can adjust the settings or I can turn it off entirely if I swap out my texture and find that I don't need it. All right, we're getting somewhere, but I still feel like this is sitting on top of the background layer rather than more integrated with it. So I'm going to push the entire pattern layer into the background by pulling some of the lighter and darker areas of that background through. And I'm going to do that using blend options. So I'm going to select this pattern layer and go to this cog shape here. Now, I don't want to focus too much attention and go into great detail on blend options in this tutorial because I'm going to do an entire tutorial dedicated to them. But in this one, we're going to focus on this right side underlying composition ranges. This is going to allow us to pull the light and dark areas of the layer beneath, in this case, my background here, so that they're more visible and integrated into the pattern layer. And when you're using this grid, the dark values are on the left and the light values are on the right. The top part of the graph is maximum intensity and the bottom part of the graph is minimum intensity. So I want to pull the darker values from the background layer through, so the shadows. So I'm going to take the light side and I'm going to drag it down. And I'll drag it to right about there. Now you can see that it pulled the light areas out and I'm left with the shadows. The problem is it actually lightened everything up. So what I want to do is take the dark side. I'm going to keep it at maximum intensity because I don't want to remove any of them. And I'm just going to drag this to the right, probably all the way to about there. I might bring these up just a touch. So you can see I'm getting some of those highlights from there, but I'm also getting some of those shadows, and it's looking a little bit more integrated with the background. Once again, this is a non-destructive edit. So if I find I need to, I can always come back in and adjust. I think I might just bring this up a little bit, and maybe bring this over to the right a little. But I can change it as much as I need to depending on the texture I have in place, the design. Any of the elements I change, I can always come back in and adjust this on the pattern layer. All right, so I have the pattern in place along with my texture, but it's not quite there yet. It doesn't have enough in the way of depth. For that, I'm going to add two more layers on the top, one being a shadow layer and another being a highlight layer that can be modified separate of everything else. I'm going to create two more copies of my background layer by selecting it and hitting Command or Control J twice. I'll select the two of them and I'm going to go up to my contextual menu here and choose Move to Front. That's going to move it up to the top. Now I need to change the blend mode of these so that we can see everything beneath it. This one is going to be my highlights, and I'm going to change the blend mode of this to soft light. That's my preference when it comes to highlights, but you can use either screen or add. It's totally up to you. I'm going to turn that off for now. For this one, this is going to be the shadows, and I'm going to change this to linear burn. Again, that's my preference, but you can also use one of the other darken blend modes like multiply or color burn. Sometimes you might find that you want to change it just based on the design you have in place. Now, what I want to do in this case is I want to pull out all of the lightest areas in this layer, leaving only the darkest ones for the shadows. Now this layer is really intense because the full force of the layer is sitting here and set to a darken blend mode. I'm going to go back into blend options to pull all of the lighter areas out and leave the shadows. So I'll go ahead and click on the cog. Now this time I want to focus on the left side, source layers. Now remember, I want to pull out all the lighter areas and leave the darkest. The dark is on the left and the light is on the right. So I'm going to pull this down and I'm going to pull it to right about here. I'm going to take the darker value and again keep it at maximum intensity. And I'm just going to bring this over to right about there. This is a bit much, but the reason that I have it on its own layer is that I can always change the opacity of the layer itself. In this case, I'm going to set it to 60. So that is off and on. And you can always go back in. I always recommend turning it off and on so you can see if you need to adjust it at all. I can either continue to change the opacity or I can go back in and change the blend options to either pull some of that dark out, put some in. I think I'm going to bring it right to about there. And again, you can also change the blend mode. So if color burn works better or multiply, you can do that. Let's go ahead and take care of the highlights now. I'm going to go ahead and turn that layer back on. Again, this is the full force of the layer. So I want to go into the blend options. Again, focusing on the source layer, but this time I want to pull down the left side because I want to keep the highlights and remove any of the darkest values. So I'm going to drag this down, and this time I'm going to drag this all the way to the right, to right about there. And I think I might, for this particular one, drag this down a little bit. I don't want it to look fake, so I'm really careful about it being too bright, but let me bring it up to here and actually change the opacity instead. So I'm going to set that to maybe 40. So I'm hitting 4 on my keyboard, and that's going to change the opacity. If I turn that off and on, you can see my highlights are up here on the right. And again, this is all non-destructive, so I can go back in and change it whenever I need to. If I go ahead and select both of these layers, I'll hold Shift and select both. There's off. You can see it's kind of flat. You see some shadows and highlights, but this just adds more depth to it, making it look a little bit more realistic. Now, one thing I want to note is that every layer that we've added here is non-destructive. It's really important to work non-destructively wherever you can because it allows you to go back in and make adjustments. If you change your textures, if you change the design and something's not quite working right, you can always go back in, either to the adjustment layers, blend options, or even blend modes and make changes where you need to. All right, I'm going to go through and just make sure that all of my layers are named. I'll go ahead and name this texture, and that's fine, background. And I want to go ahead and save this as a template so that I can pull in a fresh copy whenever I need it. Before I save this as a template, I want to go back to my design rectangle here, and I'm going to change this to a solid color. In this case, I'm just going to choose gray. The reason that I do that is because whenever you pull in a template, it's going to give you a fresh copy, leaving the original alone. If you're anything like me, I always have multiple tabs open, and I just want to make sure that if I see this with no design, I know that's my new template, and I'm not going to accidentally override something. So I've changed that to gray, and now I can go ahead and save this as a neutral template. I'll go up to the top. I'm going to choose File. I'll go down to Export, Export as Template, and then I'm going to go ahead and save this to my mockups template file. Once I've saved that, I can close this out. Because I've saved it as a template, I don't actually need to save the AF file because the template is going to save all of my layers, effects, and adjustments. The only thing that it won't save is the history, which I don't personally need, so I'm fine with just having the template. I'm going to Command or Control W and close that out. And now whenever I want to use it, I can go to my home screen, to my templates, and there's my full canvas mockup. I'll go ahead and open it, and I can open up my pattern layers here, go to my design rectangle here, and if I go to my assets, I can just pull in whatever design I'd like. I'll just grab my fill tool and grab this one. Again, I can scale it up, I can move it around. Let's do something with a little more dimension. So maybe this one. I can make any adjustments that I need to my layers because again, it's entirely non-destructive. So if I want to adjust my shadows, perhaps I want to make them a little bit deeper, I can do that. I can change my highlights. I can also swap out the texture as well as adjust my curves here. Once I'm done, I'm just going to export this as either a PNG or a JPEG, and my original template is left untouched. If you have any questions about what you learned in this tutorial or a suggestion for one you'd like to see, let me know in the comments below. I have lots more tutorials coming in the series as well as others, but in the meantime, you might want to check out one of these two next. Thanks for watching.